making a dessert that is sure to impress this Thanksgiving. This is my pumpkin cranberry soufra. Now, if you've never heard of soufra, it is a delicious Greek dessert made with phyllo pastry and then usually has a custard poured on top of it. But in place of that classic custard, I'm gonna do pumpkin pie filling because it's Thanksgiving and I love pumpkin pie. So the first thing I need to do is get to work on that phyllo pastry. So I've got 3/4 of a cup of melted butter here. And I'm actually gonna use a little bit of this just to grease my pan. Phyllo pastry is all about crispiness. And the way you get crispy, delicious layers is add a little bit of fat in between each one, which gives you crispy crunchiness and golden brown, the best color and flavor. So here I've got some phyllo. You need about 12 to 14 sheets of this stuff. Now I'm not gonna ask you to make phyllo. That is nearly impossible. I let a robot or a professional do that. You just find it in the freezer section of your grocery store, just thaw it according to the package directions and you're good to go. Now I've got this butter and I'm just gonna brush the surface of one piece. The only trick when working with phyllo is you wanna work kind of quickly and you wanna have any leftover stuff underneath a bit of a damp towel, whether it's paper towel or a clean kitchen towel. This stuff dries out really, really quickly and gets crispy. To be honest, if it starts to dry out and starts breaking on you, that's just more layers. A lot of people will scare you and say you don't want it to break, but I like crunchy layers and that's what happens. So just brush a good amount of butter all over this baby. And then what I wanna do is just layer on another sheet of that phyllo. So I've got one right here. Just pop that on top. And then I wanna accordion fold this. So starting at the smaller edge, the shorter edge, just grab that, and I wanna accordion fold it about 2 inches. So like that, like that. Listen, I was a little nervous about this accordion fold, but that went really well. I'm very proud of myself right now. Easy peasy. So now to give this like a crinkle cake look, we basically wanna make this phyllo look kind of like a rose in this prepared springform pan. So just grab your phyllo and just twist it on up into a little kind of coil. Doesn't matter if stuff starts tearing or breaking, just pop it into the center. And I've got some prepared here that I'm just gonna start popping around. Basically, you're looking to make like kind of a rose, you know, like flowers, how they grow. That's what you want it to look like. So I've got all of these prepared, again, layered with that butter and that deliciousness. It'll start getting a little loosey-goosey, but that's totally fine. That's just gonna give you more crunch. I love any dessert made with phyllo pastry. It's so good and wonderful. There's this other one called bugazza, which is stuffed with a pastry cream, and it's absolutely delicious. But I'm figuring, you know, Thanksgiving, gotta do a pumpkin pie. So just nestle everything in. That is looking beautiful. Leaving a little bit of space in between is also good because that's gonna give you more crisp power. Perfect, that looks great. Now to enhance the Thanksgivinginess of this delicious dessert, I'm gonna add in some fresh cranberries. So I've got 3/4 of a cup of fresh cranberries here, and I'm just gonna nestle those on into this pastry. If you wanted, you could also use dried cranberries, but for me, the tartness of a fresh cranberry is like a total dream, especially with pumpkin. So just scatter those all over. And I can bet you, if you're making cranberry sauce, you've got a couple bags of these hanging around. My mom always keeps them frozen in the freezer just to make sure we've got them on hand. All right, now brush the top of that with a little bit more butter. Just again for that golden brown crunch. And now I'm gonna pop this onto a sheet pan and then put this into my 350 oven for 20 minutes just to start the crispy process. So I'm gonna pop this on in. And now I get to work on the pumpkin custard portion of the day. So into a bowl, I'm gonna combine 2 cups of pure pumpkin. Now, it will be next to something called pumpkin pie filling. You don't want that. You want the pure pumpkin because we're gonna add our own spices and sugar. So about 2 cups of that. My brother one time found a can of this in the cupboard, thought it was pumpkin pie filling, opened it up, took a bite. It's not pumpkin pie filling. It's just pumpkin. He did not like it, so he learned his lesson quickly that day. Now into there, I'm also gonna add in a cup of milk, because essentially a pumpkin pie is a custard. So it's got milk in there, and then it's got eggs to set everything. Kind of sort of like a cheesecake or any other sort of custard cake. So I need 2 eggs, just cracked right on in. This is when it would be really handy if I could do one-handed egg cracks, but not gonna risk it, not on TV. I do that at home and then I end up having to fish everything out. Now I'm also, for a little bit more richness, adding in an egg yolk. So just the egg yolk is gonna give a bit more richness, a bit more setting power, but it's gonna stay nice and kind of soft and kind of puddingy, which is gonna be great. Now give that a little bit of a whisk up. And I'm gonna start adding in the flavor. And the flavor, the first thing I'm adding in is a teaspoon of vanilla extract. So I've got that vanilla here, toss that on in. And then this is totally optional, but I love a little bit of orange zest in my pumpkin pie filling. That zest gives you such a nice bright orange flavor. Zest that on in. And as of right now, this is not sweet. This is just like strange orange pumpkin, which honestly doesn't sound too bad to me. But to sweeten this up, I'm adding in 1 1/4 cups of brown sugar. And I'm using dark brown because for me, that molassesy flavor is just out of control, can't be beat. But if you only had light brown sugar, that would work too. Now for seasoning, I need a teaspoon of cinnamon for a nice like warm cinnamon vibe. Love cinnamon. A teaspoon of ground ginger, which is a little bit spicy. Half a teaspoon of nutmeg, and if you're me, you're going fresh grated. But if you don't have fresh grated, that's okay, you can use the powdered stuff. It's just a little less lemony, but I love fresh nutmeg. It just tastes like a donut shop. I don't think there's anything wrong with making everything taste like a donut shop, like an old-fashioned donut. Now I'm also popping in a 1/4 teaspoon of cloves, and this is a must in any of my pumpkin spices. It's so nice, it's a little bit spicy and peppery. Now I'm gonna dropped the lid. I'm gonna season that up with half a teaspoon of salt and just give that a whisk together. That is the pumpkin pie filling done. Today, I am making a beautiful Thanksgiving dessert. This is my pumpkin cranberry soufra. So we've got that phyllo pastry all baked up. It's nice and golden brown. Those cranberries have cooked down just a little and they're gonna be so sweet and tart and delicious. So now what we're gonna do with this beautiful little rows of everything crispy and delicious is dump all of this pumpkin mixture on top of it. This feels like you're doing something wrong, but this is the beauty of this dessert. So just pour that pumpkin pie filling all over that. Listen, I love pumpkin pie. She's full, but she's gonna go down into all of those crevices. Now, I don't know if anyone else has this issue, but I'm someone who can't make a decision, especially when I'm having people over. So I've got that pumpkin pie vibe, but I'm also gonna do a little bit of a pecan pie vibe and add some pecans on top. Also, I'm gonna do this and eat that. I don't tell anybody. Now, oh my gosh, that was delicious. That filling is delicious, let me tell you. Now, this is gonna go back into my 350 oven for 40 to 50 minutes. And with any custard kind of pie, you wanna leave it a little jiggly in the middle. That's gonna mean you've got it cooked perfectly and it's gonna be nice and puddingy. So I'm gonna add that on in, let that do its thing, and then luckily, we've got one already done and cooled back here. This looks so good. It's kind of a total revamp on a classic pumpkin pie. To serve this baby, a little bit of icing sugar on top would be absolutely beautiful. And then if you're anything like me as a kid, all you really want is whipped cream in your life. So to serve, get through that crispy phyllo pastry. This is kind of like pumpkin pudding, like baked pumpkin pudding with that crispy, delicious phyllo. Looking good. Oh, one more time. Swipe it one more time. The first slice is always the hardest. Is that a Sheryl Crow song? No. Yeah. Get that through. Pop that up. Oh my gosh, look at all of those layers. Pop that down. And then just, you know, a classic Mary Berg amount of whipped cream on top. Maybe a little bit of cinnamon on there, just to hint that this is gonna be toasty and delicious. And to be honest, I'm thrilled about this. Those cranberries in there, those layers of flaky pastry. I'm going in for a bite, because obviously I gotta. Oh my gosh, oh. Y'all, that is delicious. Hey, Mary here. What did you think? Drop your comments below and don't forget to like and subscribe for more of the good stuff.